About meditation on self-functional activity. The question is about when you meditated, you became, for example, a neuron or something. Well, I start meditate on that thing, which I don't comprehend. Let's say a nucleus. What is a nucleus? I start to meditate on it, on a neuron nucleus, for example. I enter this state, enter it. Then I see a shell, go through this shell. And I see a nucleus, or two nuclei. Why are they? What are they for? I comprehend what are they needed for. I enter one nucleus, or I entered also both of them. It was interesting for me how these processes happen. So I enter it. I feel inside myself those things which happen outside. I mean diploid chromosomes. I feel inside myself how they come together and separate, which forces control them. But all this is on the base of senses, meaning it is very hard to understand this, to relate this with something. Let's say to understand where high stones or some other regulators are. It's very hard to relate this. What is my question? Yesterday I tried to feel this in my meditation. Of course, there were notions of my own, because I saw some movies, learned something at the institute. There were my certain conceptions. But during this insight, I had sensuous experience, and I've understood what you told about. The dimension is different there. You wrote somewhere that rotation speed is different. We have 328 shifts per second here, but they have incredible speeds. They live there at completely different speeds and dimensions, different Spurum forms. Let's imagine you've pricked your arm. You feel the pain. We think this abates slowly, though actually the speeds are incredible in our conceptions. And how this happens when you see this form, the standpoint of a person. And how this happens when you see this from the standpoint of a person. No, I enter to the variable ethereal component, VEC, because it allows the most favorable form for the insight. This may be a flux form, or this may be one of the simplest Spiritivni forms, which is mostly privy to this, to studying biology. This form specializes in it. That is, everything is perceived normally. Sometimes it happens even too slowly, but you are able to speed it up, or make it even more slowly, or just influence it in some way. Simply maybe this slowness allows you to feel these things, these waves changes, states changes, when something happens to you and you try to comprehend what it is. In other words, that thing which I imagine to be myself doesn't try to comprehend. We don't do this also because we regard to this subjectively. Some processes just happen inside of us. The nucleus doesn't comprehend what is going on inside of us. What is there? How? Why? On which laws? For what reasons everything happens there? This somewhat resembles me the state of a woman when she is just about to give birth, and something happens inside of her. She understands that she is not alone already, that the whole life is inside of her, and it's not clear, huge life. It swells her up and then squeezes her. Then some pulsations occur, and all these would get into something, would transform into something. And this happens every time, meaning not my physical form observes all this, not my personality, but their personal interpretation of my own is chosen, which knows the answer to this question and is able to demonstrate this. How do you code this later into some words? What the most important later is functioning of brain cortex, hypothesis functions, that is, long-term memory activates, and I am able to recall this even after many years. To restore this experience inside myself. Not everything, of course, I remember memories, but if I catch on some cosmic code, I can use it without meditation and recall what it is. Do you imagine what a huge amount of synapses has been kept in my head? These synapses maybe won't ever be needed, though they're so sophisticated, so well organized, that I simply can't imagine how all this could have been endured and kept. But you recheck things you've seen. Do you enter the meditation again and again? No, I don't recheck things which I have seen already. If I manage to state them in writing, in some sentences, in some shape, then a mistake could be hidden in phrasing only. Meaning phrasing could be not so exact, I could reveal all what I've experienced, what I've known not so deeply. And maybe this could have slightly different relations, for example. In practical situations, I relate everything what I've described, let's suppose, to some already known things, which have been known in science. Because I start from what I found in the internet. This serves to me as cause for meditation. I do a little piece of meditation, dedicated piece. I've dragged something, compared it. It turns out that this thing has no relation to what I've read. Then I discard it. But I retain it, retain the conception about it. I continue to search for information and read more. Someone told that this happens this way. Yes, it looks a little bit familiar. It's something already which I could operate with. There is some peculiarity there, and I grasp it, start to meditate again and perceive all this again. I deploy this detail, ask a question, how this is related to that which I have studied earlier. Okay, it's done in this way. Then I reread again to compare things I've perceived with the information. I must confess it happens quite often that information turns out to be wrong. In addition, I make inner high-level evaluation. I read a sentence and put corresponding percentage. Even if I don't understand at all what they talk about, hydrolysis, whatever, certain formulae, something else, I check the reliability of all this. If reliability doesn't exceed 50, 60%, I discard it. It means that this is far-fetched information. So when someone wants to clarify some details in the meditation, should they study the problem first? Yes, it's useful because your conception about the problem should touch deeper corresponding levels of this subject. Otherwise, you may receive superficial answer and not understand the sense, not understand cause and effect interrelations, and you could make the next mistake based on that. Meaning you'll think that is how it is, that is true, and you'll continue your examining from the standpoint that I've checked this, but actually that was wrong. Should I try later on to write down what I've seen? Well, you may not always manage to write down. At times there is so much information and it's so diverse, different qualitative, that you manage to write down some part of received images. You are able to fill one or 1.5 paper sheet to state everything, though you feel lack of time to write down the rest. But you remember it, you understand how it is interrelated. I think both ventrolateral and dorsolateral cortices should be developed, because dorsolateral cortex is not related to amygdala, but exactly amygdala is the strong memories eraser, owing to the fact that many memories related to amygdala's relations. Amygdala's reactions undergo strong changes later and disappear at all. Neurons related with such synapses die, and new neurons already don't have this memory. These synapses don't recover old recollections and work for new memorizing. You should dare. You won't be able to comprehend anything without meditation, meaning you will know information, but this will be not your own information. This will be information which you've obtained from Iissiidiology. This will be my conceptions, projections of my conceptions. The main thing is not to be afraid. I look at many of you. They are just afraid. There is not even any laziness, there is interest. But fear holds back, and that's all. The fear doesn't allow just to start. Finally, I start today. Such meditations develop ventral part of prefrontal cortex. More specifically, these internal conceptions, everything which is related to intuition, to conscious, to the notions of good, evil, to luvo-mystical principles are developed due to the meditation.